Hey everybody, it's Rebecca from DevourDinner.com and welcome to my new studio. You guys, happy Sunday. If you're just joining me, we're doing another recipe. 2 recipes back to back. Both of them are one-pot meals, and let me tell you, it's a whirlwind, but it's awesome. So let's wait until we have a few people joining in live, and I'm going to put over here in the comments these recipes. Let's see. Where is my recipe, you guys? There it is. All right, we've got a few people on live. If you guys will give me a thumbs up, a heart, let me know you can hear me. Say hello in the comments. I would love it. All right, we're getting a few people on. I've put in the comments the link of what we will be making, which is a brand new recipe. It is Chicken Parm casserole. It is phenomenal, and I love it. And let's see. All right, there's somebody. Hello, Sherry from Austin. You're back. You came and joined me again. I love it. Thank you so much. It's fabulous to have friends who come back and say hello. So I'm not just totally talking to a camera so randomly. All right, we've got a few more on. You guys, give me some thumbs up. Give me some hearts. Let me know you can hear me. Say hello in the comments. We will be welcoming, once again, the Instapot 101 for Beginners group. So we're excited to have them. Oh, there's Gail. Okay, Gail, we'll give you a minute to get that group over before we begin. Kathy's back. Oh, good. And Kathy can hear me. Perfect. Hello, Carol. I'm from Nebraska. What's the weather like? Today we're getting snow. I live in eastern Idaho. Yesterday we had it was a beautiful morning. And then by later afternoon, we got tons of wind and it was bitter cold. It was crazy. And today we're getting just a little skiff of snow out there, which is always nice. Hello, Trelva. Welcome back. Heather, hello, Heather. I love chicken parmesan. I love it. Hello, Judy. Everything sounds good. That's what we want to hear. Hey, Dave's back on. All right, Dave, I don't know why you're having problems before. I have no idea. I hope you don't get kicked out again. I don't want anyone kicked out. I want you guys here. Sunny with wind. Crazy weather for the new year. All right, as soon as I get the thumbs up from Gail that we've invited, the Instapot 101. Diane's here. Hey, Diane. Love it. Haven't seen you in a while. Diane, I hope you had a fabulous Christmas and a new year. Diane's one of my top fans on my page. Has been around for a long time. Helps answer questions. She's awesome. We love Diane. Timothy's back from my second video. You guys are awesome. I can't even tell you how excited it makes me. Honestly, last week when I did the 2 videos was a huge stretch because that's a long time to be live. And it was only because so many of you came back for the second video that I offered to do 2 again. Gail had commented in their group how many questions were being asked for one-pot meals. And so I said, sure, let's do it. And it means a lot to me that you'll take the time and that you'll come back and learn more and be a part of the group. I just love that. Kathy is in Tulsa. Beautiful 58 degrees. That is beautiful. That is awesome. Utah County. Melissa's from Utah County with a bit of a chill. Diane says, Happy New Year to you and your fam. All right. Gail's giving me the thumbs up. Welcome to all those from Instapot 101. Thank you once again for joining me on these lives. Thank you to the admins of Instapot 101 for Beginners for sharing this into their group. The group has grown phenomenally. These poor ladies are working such crazy hours with all of you with new Instapots. It's phenomenal. It's wonderful, and I love it. So that's awesome. Congratulations to the 101 family. Lewis says, hi, you're awesome. Oh, I tell you what, after the end of these 2 hours, I put my feet up. It's wonderful. Oh, Diane, you're so cute. So happy for you. You're amazing. Hello from Quebec. San Diego in the house. All right, California, I love it. You guys know I'm a California girl at heart. How I ended up in eastern Idaho is beyond me, but I love it. All right, let's dive in. all right? Those of you who are just joining in, this is my new studio that I have been working on. My husband has been working on. We got it done. There's still little bugs we're working out, but it's so phenomenal. You guys have better view all around, and I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. So make sure to leave me those comments on what you guys think too. So in this recipe, chicken parm casserole, we're going to use penne pasta. We're going to use some mozzarella, some Parmesan. Of course, we're going to use some pasta sauce. You can use your favorite jarred sauce. You can make a homemade sauce. It doesn't matter. We're also going to use some chicken broth, some salt, some pepper, some butter, and of course, chicken. It's easy as it is. Now for this recipe, I'm going to be using frozen chicken tenders. All right, how many of you guys have busy weekday nights? You come home and you're like, oh my gosh, what's for dinner? How am I going to do this? Everything's frozen. What am I going to do? No more. If you use frozen chicken tenders are a smaller size. They're thinner. It's just that tender portion of the breast. I'm going to use these in this recipe today, and it's golden. So we're going to start out by turning our pressure cooker on to saute. We want it to read hot, so we need that to get warmed up. And I am going to cut up some onion. And I'm going to do about half of an onion. It really depends on what size onion you're using. Here in Idaho, they seem to think we only want the ginormous onions. So I use a little bit more than a half cup. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to slice this up, and I'm just going to dice it. Now, my family likes onions, you guys. If your family doesn't like onions, that's okay. Cut it out. Cut it down. Do what your family likes. The whole reason that you're cooking, that you're in the kitchen, is to make it for your family or your friends. So make sure that you're catering to some of that. If you do leave the onions out, I would suggest adding some garlic to the recipe, just so that you have a little bit more of that flavor. I do not like the center of that. We got lots of great comments over there. Hello from Montana. I used to live in Montana. All right. We have got this diced up. I'm not going to use all that I've diced up because it's too much for this recipe. But we have it diced up. We're going to wait until it reads on our pressure cooker because we want to make sure that it reads hot, because we want to make sure that it is good and hot inside as well. And then we're going to add, I like to use butter, but you could also use olive oil. And we're going to saute up these onions a little bit just to kind of get them cooking. Then we're going to deglaze the bottom of our pot by using a little bit of chicken broth, which we're going to use in the recipe to lift up anything that might be stuck on the bottom. Super important so we don't get burn notices. We will add 8 ounces of penne pasta, which is half a pound, so half a box. So this is a smaller recipe. This will serve 4 people really nicely. And then we will add a cup of spaghetti sauce right on top of that pasta, and we're going to let it cook. When it's done cooking, then we're going to open it up and pull out our chicken and stir everything up, put our chicken back in, and we're going to plate it up, and it's going to be absolutely delicious. Delicious. All right. You guys are just rocking and rolling on these questions over here. I love it. Oh my gosh. Okay. Are we hot yet? Not yet. Leslie said she loves the first live, and thank you for answering my question. Leslie, of course, I want you to know, and anyone else who's out there watching who maybe is afraid to ask a question, first of all, there is no silly question. There's just not. You can't be expected to know an answer if you've never been taught, and that's what we're here for. So please feel comfortable to ask any question, and I won't embarrass you or anything. I will help you learn so that you can do it right or better the next time, and it'll be great. But thank you for coming back because I love it. Diane's from Minnesota. Love you, Diane. You're awesome. Tim is back for the second video. I love it. You guys are blowing me away. Seriously, I said in the last video, last week I did the 2 live videos with Instapot 101, and again I did 2 this week, right? The only reason I offered to do 2 again is because so many of you came back last week. There was such an outcry, an outpouring of positive comments and feedback that I thought, why not? Why not? Everyone's got new Instapots and they want to learn, and why not? And seriously, it gives me goosebumps to hear you guys say that I came back twice, that you're spending all this time with me on a Sunday afternoon. I mean, it gives me chills, truly. So thank you for being here. Let's see here. Hello from Quebec. Stephen. Dave says, thanks 101 for all you do. You know, a huge shout out to the 101 family. They do an enormous amount of work. It's wonderful to have them, and they're super supportive of me and my page, and I so appreciate that. So that's great. Thank you, Dave, for noticing that. Those ladies appreciate it. Hello from Fort Wayne. Nancy's here. Hi, Nancy from Iowa, from Roseville. Lisa, welcome. Joanne's from Vermont. Hello. All right, Leslie. Love the Mickey cutting board. Have the rest of you spotted the Mickey cutting board? I'm a huge Disney fan. Huge Disney fan. Diane says, nice job, Bill. Looks awesome. Diane knows how much my husband worked to get this studio set up for me, so that's fantastic. All right, we're now reading hot on the front of our pressure cooker, and so I'm going to add some butter. But before I do, I'm going to show you guys that it is saying hot. We're going to pull this in. It gets a glare. There we go. So it's now reading hot. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add, let's see here. I'm going to add some butter to the pressure cooker here. Well, let's go top down so you guys can see what I'm doing. We'll move this in. I want that butter to melt, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add some onion. Not going to add it all. And we're going to stir that. All right, like I said, we're going to allow that to cook for 3 or 4 minutes, really. Anytime that we add any ingredients into the Instapot, when the saute is going, the temperature automatically drops. So we want to let that get back up to temperature and kind of cook those onions just a little bit so they're not so hard. And then we are going to be following the recipe because it's there for us, right? We will deglaze the bottom of our pot. So when the onions cook, a little of them are going to get stuck. The butter is going to go from a nice melted butter to like a brown butter, right? And we don't want the burn notice. So we will be adding in some chicken broth to the recipe. And that thin liquid, we will then scrape up anything that is stuck to the bottom so that we don't get the burn notice that way. This recipe also will call for a little bit of garlic. Let's see here. Hey, Bill. Oh, maybe this will work. Never mind. I'm good. Now, garlic will cook up super fast, you guys, and garlic will burn. So I don't want to add the garlic too soon because I want to get it sauteing a little bit, but I don't want it to burn. So I'm waiting for those onions to start to break down just a little bit. And you guys, I think you know what I mean by breaking down. You won't see it real well in my overview. go ahead and we will just add that garlic. Give a stir. Now, sometimes what you'll notice, like right over here a little bit, you can see that the butter is just starting to brown. So that's what I'm talking about. When we deglaze the pot, we want to make sure that gets lifted up because we don't want anything stuck to the bottom of the pot, or we'll get what's called a burn notice. So this recipe then calls for 2 cups of chicken broth. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to add that. It's going to cause a lot of steam. We're going to go ahead and we're going to turn off the pressure cooker. We don't need any more heat from the bottom. As soon as we add that liquid into the pot, I begin stirring with a wooden spoon. So what I'm doing is I am lifting up whatever might be stuck to the bottom so that I don't get a burn notice. Then I'm going to add the other cup of chicken broth and our pasta. Now, this can of chicken broth, although I have another one sitting here, this can is only 14.5 ounces, so it's not quite 2 cups of liquid, but I don't really want to open a second can that might go to waste, so I'm just going to top it off with water and add that in. Then we're going to add our pasta. Now, I am using 8 ounces of penne pasta, so I'm not weighing it, I'm not measuring it out, I'm eyeballing it. So when you look at your box, which is a pound, I'm using half the box, all right? And then I'm just going to pour that in. And I'm going to show you here, top down. We want to make sure that the pasta can be under that liquid, okay? Just like that. Then we're going to pour our spaghetti sauce right on top. Now, I don't have any fresh basil to throw into this. I love to add fresh basil into it. Unfortunately, sometimes here in Eastern Idaho, our fresh stuff is not good. And that was the case today. So you would put your some basil in. You can also sprinkle it on top. I'm going to put this sauce right on top, but I'm not going to stir it. Super important, you guys. The reason you don't stir it is because I need that thin liquid to boil and create steam. And if I mix it with something thicker, it has a hard time of creating that steam. So I'm just going to pour this on top and just leave it. Set that aside. I'm then going to take the chicken. Now remember, these are frozen chicken tenders right here. Okay? And I'm going to set them on top. So here we go. These are kind of big ones today, so I'm only going to get 5 in. All right? Sometimes they're thinner, sometimes they're bigger. These are bigger ones, and so that's going to be plenty for what we're going to want. And that's it. That's all that goes into this recipe. You can, of course, salt and pepper if you'd like. I have used chicken broth that has salt already in it, so I know I've got a good level of salt in it, but I do want to add some pepper. In this case, this is a Redmond salt garlic pepper that I do really enjoy. We're going to go ahead and we're going to put our lid on. We're going to push our pressure valve to the back so that it's in the closed and locked position. And then we're going to set our time for 6 minutes, I believe. Yes. This will cook for 6 minutes, and we will give it a full 4-minute natural release. All right? So let's go ahead and get that set. So to set it, we are going to push our pressure cook button. And it is already reading 6 minutes, but if it wasn't, we could use the plus or the minus keys to adjust the time to get to 6 minutes. And once it reads 6 minutes, it'll take just a minute and the pressure cooker will beep and it will read on. And that's how we know that the pressure cooker has accepted the settings for us. All right, you guys, that's it. So at this stage in the game, this is where we clean up our workstation. Super important, you guys. Take the time while your food is cooking, clean up your workstation, set your table, get ready for dinner or whatever meal, start a load of laundry, rinse your dishes, get them in the dishwasher that you've used, or go sit down on the couch and put your feet up because you can. I promise, it's okay. So we are just going to move some of this stuff out of the way. Let's see here. Let me use that cutting board here in a minute. So as it cooks, the chicken breast, this will take a few minutes to pressure up. The reason it'll take a few minutes is because that chicken is frozen and it's cold. And so it's going to take a minute. If the chicken tenders were thawed out, the time would still be 6 minutes. It just would pressure up faster, so keep that in mind. But I love using the frozen chicken tenders. My blogger friend, turned me on to those on how quick and easy it can be for a busy weeknight meal and a one-pot dinner. So when this is all done and it's cooked for 6 minutes and we let the natural pressure release time go, we'll open the pot up and we will pull out the chicken, set it aside, we'll stir our pasta, and we'll add in our cheeses, and then we can plate it up. And that's the recipe. Super simple, you guys. I'm going to go to some questions over here and see what we got while this heats up. Okay. Megan, hello. Megan says, I love the new studio. Fabulous. Thank you, Megan. I love it too. I'm so excited. So excited. Sandra from North Carolina, hello. Gail says, use the spices and ingredients you love. You have to follow the layering rules, timing, and techniques. That's correct. There are so many things that you can change about a recipe, except for the technique of the recipe. If it calls for a spice that you don't like, it's okay. Maybe leave it out. Or ask the person whose recipe it is if you can leave it out. Some of the ingredients are super important for the flavors, but there might be a substitution that you can use as well. Sammy, hello again. Nancy says, can you do this one in a 3-quart? I have not tested in a 3-quart, but I'm gonna say you probably can. On all of the Instapots, the liners have a level that you can't go above. You can't have ingredients above that line. And the 3-quart would be the same way. So what I would do, Nancy, is I would put in 2 cups of liquid, or 3 cups of liquid is what I would do to test it, right? All you're doing is measuring. Just put 3 cups of liquid in there, and then you're going to have to eyeball it. Is there still room to put your chicken in there? Because your 3 cups of liquid is your 1 cup spaghetti sauce and 2 cups of chicken broth. But just use water. See where that water line comes to. Think about your pasta. Think about your chicken. And it may just fit. You may be okay. Gail, I just saw your comment. Please explain the max line and the importance of not overfilling the pot. So there is a max line, and if you overfill your pot, you're going to have a mess, an absolute mess. The reason for that is because the pressure cooker needs an amount of air, amount of space to build up pressure. And if you cut the gap, if your pressure line is here, but you fill to here, you've cut the gap of how much space to build up the pressure. It's not going to work. And when you try to open it, it's going to go everywhere. All right? We've all seen in these different groups people who have spaghetti sauce on their ceiling and problems, and they're like, what did I do wrong? Well, some recipes you can't double. If you were with me last hour on the chicken cordon bleu casserole, you can't double that recipe, but you can cut it in half. Super easy to cut that recipe in half and make a smaller version. It's because of that fill line. So pay attention to it. Whatever size pressure cooker you have, it's super important to recognize that you don't go over that fill line. Super important. Heidi, hello. Sandra, hello. Mary, back again from California. Love it. Gail points out we're all volunteers. It's crazy. It's crazy how much work goes into the groups, and they're all volunteers. Kathy from Nova Scotia, Terry from Eastern North Carolina, Margie from Nova Scotia, Beverly from Alma, Georgia. Dave says, I'm very happy to be a member of the group. Thank you. Dave, I'm so glad you're a member of the group. I really am. You've been great. I hope you've enjoyed it. Tim, can you use the saute at any time, or do you have to wait until it says hot? Well, Tim, you can actually do whatever you want. It's okay. However, if you don't wait till it gets hot and you put stuff into it, it doesn't do it the same. And it only takes, a minute or two to get to the hot reading. So what I like to do is when I'm starting to get my stuff ready, I get my Instapot started and press the saute so it can heat up. In the meantime, I'm pulling out ingredients. I'm getting situated with my cutting board and my knife and whatever. And by that time, it's hot. So it is best practice to wait until it reads hot. However, you're also free to choose. It works too. It'll just work a little differently because it won't be hot on the bottom. So if you put butter in, it's going to melt a lot slower. You're not going to get that sizzle. If you're trying to brown something, it's not going to brown really well because you're not going to get that sear on the bottom of it. So keep that in mind. Kim says, my family has sensory issues, and while they don't care for onion, they do like onion powder, just another option. Oh, that's absolutely true. Yes. Throw in some onion powder with it. A lot of people have sensory issues or concerns that there's other ways to get flavors into recipes without using the ingredients sometimes. So that was great. Thank you. Sandra says, hello. So glad I made it. New Jersey here. Hello, Sandra. Welcome. And Sandra's asking what's on the menu today. So today I'm making the Chicken Parmesan casserole. It is a one-pot meal, super simple. This recipe will feed like 4 people. It's a smaller recipe, which I love. You can double it. There's in a 6-quart there's room. In an 8-quart there's room. You would not be able to double it in a 3-quart, obviously. And it's just a quick take on a chicken parm dish. So it's super fast, super easy, great for busy weeknights. Hey, Zach. Zach is from Utah, loving the new setup. Thanks, Zach. I appreciate it. I'm loving it too. It's so fun. Diane says, thank you to everyone from 101, especially Devour Dinner, for all you do for everyone who was afraid to use their Instapots. The first time I saw Rebecca was when she didn't have an oven and used her Instapot for everything. She has helped me to love my and my twin grandsons to eat at home. Okay, Diane is one of my top fans, and I just adore her. She's been with me for quite a while now, and honestly, she just brings a smile to my face. So thank you, Diane. It has been so fun to watch you grow in what you're trying with your Instapot and the new recipes and how you've shared them with your grandsons and with others. You've shared with other people too, and I love it. So that's awesome. Eileen finally just got here. Been waiting, no notice. Glad for round 2. Uh-oh, Eileen. Sorry, friend. So we are making the chicken parmesan for Eileen and anyone else who has just joined us. I haven't even paid attention how many people we've got on live today. Let's see. Judy says, I don't have chicken tenders, but boneless chicken breasts. Costco had a killer sell. What are the adjustments? Love it. Actually, if you notice in this recipe specifically, you're going to see a picture where the chicken tenders don't look like chicken tenders, and that's because it's a chicken breast that I have cut into 3 portions. Brilliant. Because sometimes I have chicken and not chicken tenders, right? That's okay. But for this recipe to work, you can't put your whole big chicken breast in there. It won't cook in that amount of time. So what you need to do is cut your chicken breast in 3 strips. All right? And by doing so and laying those strips in there, that makes the difference. So with this recipe, I tend to use like 2 chicken breasts, and I cut them each into 3 slices, and I put those 6 slices into the pressure cooker, and there you have it. Great question. Sherry says, when doing a natural release, is this pot still on, cooking, or keeping the dish warm? You know, that's a great question, Sherry. So let me explain how this works. We have set the pressure on this to be 6 minutes, okay? Right now, it's about to seal up. We're getting close. There's some steam coming out, and it's going to seal. And it's going to go through the cooking process, and it's going to take 6 minutes. And the numbers on the front panel are going to count down in time. At the end of it, it's going to beep, and it's going to tell us the cooking time is done. And on the front panel, you're then going to see the keep warm. It's going to go into a keep warm state. So once it hits the keep warm state, well, it's going to transition. So it won't be a cooking state, to answer your question, in the natural release. It's hissing at me today. So it will go into a keep warm while it's doing the natural pressure release, and everything inside will still be in a keep warm state as that pressure is slowly coming down. Does that answer your question? I hope so. Jules asks, are your frozen chicken tenders breaded? These ones are not, but you can use the breaded chicken tenders. That is totally okay. My family prefers just the chicken tenders without them being breaded, but you can absolutely use the breaded on it as well. So have it that's okay. Heather says, I'm excited to make this tonight. Tonight is ribs. I really want to make my non-dairy yogurt, but the last 2 days have been crazy. Now I know why everyone has 3 to 5 Instapots, LOL. Okay, that's a true statement. There's so much that you want to do with your pressure cooker that one isn't enough, especially if you're going to make yogurt, which takes 8 hours in your Instapot. And that's why multiple Instapots are just become so handy. Since I've had my Instapot, I had a number of crock pots. I only have 1 crock pot now, and I only use it once a year. It's really funny. But I have 3 pressure cookers. All of them are 6-quart. That's what I love. I love the size. It feeds my family. When I have extended people come over, I have plenty of room for everybody of what I'm cooking. So 6 works for me and my family and my situation. Gail says, you can usually half the ingredients, but not the time or the water. Great question. So we get this a lot. If I cut a recipe in half, do I cut the time in half? And the answer is no. The reason why is, let's think about it. If you were to make a half batch of cookies and you're to bake them in your oven, would you cook them for half the time? The answer is no. They would still cook for the same amount of time. If you were to cook a casserole in the oven, would you cook it for half the time? Probably not. You would still cook it for the same time. So any recipe that you choose to half for the Instapot or the pressure cookers, you will use the same amount of time, and that's okay. So great for pointing that out. Gail, you're awesome. Sometimes I feel like a broken record up here, and I never know what I've said and what I haven't said. So Gail has a comment. She says, the spewing pot of foam, controlled quick release, means if when you turn the pressure release valve, starchy waters start to spew rather than just steam. Turn it back to sealing, wait for a minute, and try again. Keep doing this until the steam comes out. Some foods that are foamy, pasta and oatmeal and beans, etc., benefit from the controlled release or the pulse release. Super important. So we've got pasta in here today. Although we have a little half batch, It's not as full as the one we made last hour. And we'll do a controlled quick release when we do it to let those starches calm down a little bit so that we don't have anything spewing out the top. Super important there. Hey, Heather, you're from Sacramento. I love these California residents. Hello from Massachusetts. Hi. Is it Carol? But it has an I on the end. How do you pronounce that? Eileen says, would you recap the recipe? What's in the pot, layering wise? I missed the beginning. Absolutely. So first off, our Instapot has now changed from the on state, and it now reads 6. So we have our 6 minutes that will begin counting down. So today in the pressure cooker, we have the Chicken Parm pasta casserole. The ingredients in that are chicken tenders. I have to look. We have onion. We have a little butter and onion that we sauteed for a few minutes. We added garlic to that. And then I added a cup of chicken broth to deglaze the bottom of the pot to lift up anything that might be stuck on the bottom so we don't get a burn notice. I added in the rest of the chicken broth and 8 ounces of penne pasta. Most penne pastas come in a 1-pound box. And so I estimated half of the box to put into the pressure cooker. I then just gently moved the pasta around to make sure that they wasn't all clumped on one side and it was an even balance. I then took 1 cup of a jarred spaghetti sauce and poured that on top, but I did not stir. At that point, I closed the lid. Oh, I sprinkled on some pepper because we like it to add to it, put the lid on and set it for 6 minutes. Or I put the frozen chicken tenders on, put the lid on, and let it pressure up. So it is now in the cooking process. The recipe calls for 6-minute cooking time with a 4-minute natural release. You could do it up to 6 minutes. You could do longer. If you do too much more than 6 minutes, your pasta gets overcooked. I don't like overcooked pasta. Not a fan, you guys. And that's the point that we're at. When it's done, we're going to remove our chicken tenders from the Instant Pot. We're going to pull those out. I'm going to be adding in some mozzarella cheese and some Parmesan cheese, and I'm going to stir that up with the sauce and the pasta. If I feel like my sauce needs a little bit more spaghetti sauce, I'm going to add just a little bit more on top, and then I'm going to plate it up with the chicken breast or the chicken tender on top and a little more Parmesan for garnish. And that's it. That's our meal. So super easy that way. Let's see. Okay, Carol's asking a great question. And this concerns the pot-in-pot method of cooking. She says, is there a certain small pot I should use inside of an inner pot? So on Amazon, you can buy what's called a 2-tier pot. And it has a pot and then another pot that stacks on top of it. And you don't have to use both of them at once. And it also comes with a trivet and a handle to lift them in and out. It's what I have and I love. You can also use a springform pan as well. You'll want to put it on a trivet on the bottom of your pan. If you use a springform pan, it's super important to know that you need to wrap the bottom of your pan with foil. Now think about it. A springform pan is not leak-proof, right? Liquid can go in and liquid could go out. So you want to make sure that neither of that happens. So if you wrap the bottom in foil before you put it in your pressure cooker, super important for whatever's in that pan. So there's not one specific, but you can use multiple options. Glass is not typically recommended unless it has a acknowledgement from the company that it is pressure cooker safe. So you want to I prefer using a metal pan, honestly, is what I use. Let's see. Renee, hello from Buffalo, New York. Hey, Zach. Hey, Rebecca. My sister got an Instapot for Christmas, but says she doesn't want it. Send it to me. The only reason she has heard to use one is because they cook quicker, but she is a stay-at-home mom and says she has all day to cook. Any advice you would give her to sway her to keep her Instapot? I love mine, but she is attached to the hip to her crock pot for some reason. Okay. My first question is, did you give her the Instapot and she doesn't want it? That's cute. All right. So, what can I tell her? Well, I love my Instapot. I love it. There's so many more things I can do with my Instapot that I can't do with my crock pot. Rice doesn't cook real well cooking all day in a crock pot. I can't make yogurt in a crock pot. There's just so many elements to a crock pot of things to do, but there's a learning curve involved. And so a lot of people are afraid of it because they're so accustomed to what they're accustomed to. You're raised using a crock pot, so why change? But an Instapot does so much more than just doing things quickly, that it's really fabulous in that way. So keep talking to her. Tell her to come watch the channel so that she can get accustomed to how to use her pressure cooker, and we'll make her a believer. We'll give it a shot. All right, you guys, it's beeping on us now. So we have now finished our cooking process, and it's going to go into the keep warm state. And this is when the natural pressure release starts. So if we go to our side cam here really quick, you can see that it's reading 0, right? These numbers are now going to count up in numbers as it naturally releases. So we're going to let that go for 4 minutes, and then we're going to slowly let the pressure out on a controlled quick release. Heather. How does everyone clean their lids? I've made a few pork dishes and my lid smells amazing, but like the pork. Ha ha. I've used soapy warm water, but still smells like pork. Could I maybe put vinegar in the pot and pressure it like the water test to rinse it off? Heather, you could. If you want to do like another water test, but put some vinegar in with the water, that does help. One thing that I do is I have those sealing rings that I use for savory dishes, and then other ones that I use for sweet dishes. Because I do cook with a lot of garlic, some of my rings smell heavily of garlic. Some of my viewers like to wash their ring in hot soapy water, and they put it in the freezer. The freezer, I deaden some of that smell. I haven't tested it yet. I need to try it. So I think later today after we wash this, we'll throw this in the freezer and give it a test. I also throw mine in the dishwasher. That tends to help as well because it gets a really good cleaning with that hot heat in the dishwasher. But feel free, if there's anyone on, chime in on what you do because that would be awesome. Carol is saying, do you have recipes for using the crisp lid? I do. I don't have a ton of them, but I use them a lot. So like in this recipe, you could very easily put your chicken breast back inside of here, add Parmesan to the top, put your crisp lid on top, and melt that cheese. Super nice and super easy. I love my crisp lid. For those of you who are on and don't know what a crisp lid is, it's made by the company Mealthy, MEALTHY.com. A crisp lid will turn any 6-quart or 8-quart pressure cooker into an air fryer. And let me tell you, the first time I heard about it, my mind went, I was hooked. I was like, take my money, give it to me, take my money. And the company had to say, I'm sorry, they're not available yet. And I was crushed. Since then, I have a fantastic working relationship with the brand. I love their products, and I showcase them here on my channel quite a bit. Should you choose to purchase a crisp lid from Mealthy directly, you can use my affiliate coupon code, which is Devour Dinner, one word, all caps. Devour Dinner, one word, all caps. It'll get you $10 off the crisp lid. It'll also get you $10 off many of their other products as well. And they do offer free shipping in the US. So it's fabulous. Let's see. Judy says, great question. I have a crisp lid but haven't used it yet. Oh my gosh, you guys, you got to use it. They're phenomenal. Okay, Dawn is saying, what does it mean when you set the Instapot to pressure high for 25 minutes for a whole chicken, but I never saw the 25-minute clock? So, John, I need a little more information from you. You would press your pressure cook button and use your plus and minus keys to adjust to 25 minutes. And then you would see the reading on your front display come up. If the 25 minutes doesn't come up after it's come to pressure, then it hasn't come to pressure correctly. So I need some more information, Dawn, so I can answer that. Peggy is asking, so is the chicken on top? Yes, Peggy, the chicken is on top. So I have the onions in the bottom. I put in my chicken broth. I put in my pasta. I put my spaghetti sauce, and I put my chicken on top. You could do it the other way where you put the spaghetti sauce on top of the chicken. I put it underneath because I like it to absorb into my pasta. Peggy says, I miss so much. Is this recipe on your site? Of course it is. It's actually, if you scroll up to the comments, the top comments, it's there. It's also up in the description. There's a link. There's also a link to the Pinterest pin. If you just want to save it for later, there's a link for the Pinterest pin as well. So it's all up there for you. So Dawn says, I saw the preheat button, but not the numbers. So the preheat button, I'm still a little confused. Because you're pressing pressure cook is what you're pressing, and it's just going to say on. That's all it's going to say. Once you put in the 25 minutes. And then once it seals, then it'll change to 25 minutes. Okay, Anita says, I am so afraid of my pot. Anita, please follow me on Facebook. Please, please. And any of the rest of you are out there who are afraid of your pot, please follow me. Because I've got these great videos of doing your water tests and doing hard-boiled eggs, and I do these lives weekly where you can come on and do it side by side. You can even have your ingredients. There's plenty of time for that. All right, we have now talked so long. This has gone on for 6 minutes. Dun, 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 6 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to release the pressure. As always, you guys, you can use either the rice paddle or the ladle that probably came with your pressure cooker or the hook on the end to open the valve. All right? You don't have to use your finger. You can use something to grab it. Now, this is still shooting out a lot, which is why I just closed it, because I really don't want pasta starches spouting everywhere. So a controlled quick release is when we are opening it and closing it and opening it and closing it. Okay? There we go. So we'll let a little bit out, and if it starts to spit at us, then I'll close it up. We'll let that pressure release, and I'm going to pull out the chicken and kind of set it aside so I can stir my pasta. And if necessary, I'm going to go ahead and add in some more spaghetti sauce if I want more sauce on it. We're also then going to add in some mozzarella cheese and some Parmesan cheese, and of course leaving some Parmesan that we can melt on top when we're done. So it'll take just a few minutes for that pressure pin to release. Super important, you guys. This is a safety precaution here. Do not try to push that pin down while it's releasing to open the lid quicker. Wait till that pin drops all on its own so that you don't get burnt. Just be patient. Super important that way. Okay, Dawn, I'm going to come back to your question. I'm reading it over here. Amy says, I just got a pot and watched videos, and now I love my pot. I love it, Amy. I love it. And Debbie said, I was scared, but my sister Eileen talked me through cooking eggs. Hey, way to go, Eileen. That's awesome. And Megan says, have you used a different brand of Instapot? I have. I have a multi-pot from Milky, and I love them both. I use them interchangeably. And in my lives, you'll see me use both of them. All right, the pin is dropped. We're going to open the lid. And let's go top down so you guys can see what it looks like. Let's move it in here. So there we go. I am just going to pull out the chicken and set it aside just super quick. Now, with any recipe, it's super important to recognize the sauce will thicken as it cools. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to stir this up. And I'm going to add into it some Parmesan cheese. And I'm going to add into it a little bit of mozzarella cheese. Got to stir. Now, mozzarella cheese melts a little bit differently than Parmesan does. And mozzarella will be a more stringy that you're going to see in there. So I like to add a little at a time and stir so it can get into that hot liquid and start to melt so I don't get those clumps. Otherwise, I get clumps of mozzarella, which is not a bad thing. All right. Give that a nice stir. So as this cools, the sauce thickens. I want you guys to remember that. So many times people just almost panic and go, oh my gosh, it's too thin. What happened? Just give it a minute. Just let it sit. It's amazing what will happen in that way. So we're just going to let this sit for a minute before I plate it up. Okay, Dawn, it sounds to me like when you hit your pressure cook button, you set it for 25 minutes, that you might have maybe walked away from it and didn't recognize that it came up to pressure and cooked, and by the time you saw it, it was in a natural release state that you left there for that 119 minutes or 115 minutes. That's what it's sounding like, because it would depend on which way the numbers were counting. If it was counting up in numbers, then it was definitely in a natural release state. It counts down in numbers when it's cooking and up in numbers when it's a natural release. Susan says, I made brownies in my Instapot for the first time. Oh my gosh, brownies are fun. Now to make dinner, Susan says. Looks yummy. Wish I was making that tonight, says Heather. I'm going to have to try this recipe. It looks like chicken has a lot of flavor in it as well. Yes, the chicken has a ton of flavor and it's super moist. It's a wonderful, wonderful recipe. Let's see if I can get it top down for you guys. So as it starts to thicken up here, it's just fabulous. It is a little stringy with that mozzarella in it, but it is just fabulous. I'm going to go ahead and plate this up. Let's see here. I'm going to use one of my smaller plates today, and I'm going to use this. Hey, did you guys know the little hook on the end of this ladle sits right on the edge ring of your pressure cooker so it won't fall in? Did you guys know that? Just a little tip. Now, if I let this sit longer, this sauce would thicken more. But for the sake of time, we're just going to go ahead and plate this up. And then put some chicken breast on top. We're going to sprinkle it with some more parm because who doesn't love a little bit of parm? This is also a great place to add a little bit of diced up fresh basil because that's wonderful too. And I'm going to go top down and lift this up for you guys so you can see. There we go. There's the chicken parm casserole bake done. It's a fabulous dish. The chicken really just breaks apart, and you can break it apart with a fork. It just flakes. And so it's just wonderful. The pasta is perfectly cooked. Love this recipe all the way around. So there you have it. Let's see, any other questions really quick? Judy is answering a question. I used frozen chicken tenderloins. Today I did use frozen chicken tenderloins. You can use a chicken breast that you slice up into 3 slices, and that works as well if you don't have the chicken tenders, but it does need to be sliced up. Super important because of the time involved. You don't want to cook the pasta longer or the pasta becomes mush, and nobody likes that. So that is super important. Peggy is saying, can you get those ladles from the company? Mine didn't come with them. I'm not sure where you can get those ladles. Although if you have like a local thrift store, I've seen a ton of them at thrift stores. People don't use them, and I love mine. So you might even check there to see if you can get some. I bet you could get some on Amazon too. I'm hearing that these newer Instapots don't come with the ladles. I'm shocked. I'm really shocked. Susan says, looks amazing. I can nearly smell it. I love it. Diane says, looks delicious. Making for sure. Thanks. All right, you guys, listen, it is 4 o'clock. I've been on an hour with you guys. I love it. I love spending my Sunday afternoons with you. I'm so excited to have you here. Please follow me. Please, as part of this on my Facebook page, click follow and follow along. If you're interested in my newsletters, you can join that on devourdinner.com, where you get my newsletters once a week of my new recipes as well. Otherwise, I go live every Sunday, like clockwork, at 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, where I'm doing a new Instapot recipe. And it's fun. It's super fun. So for all of you new to Instapot, thank you for being here. Thank you to those who have been here for 2 hours enjoying this. I love it. I appreciate it. Every time you guys share my recipes, it means the world to me, and it really helps me. This is how I make money, how I work, and I'm able to provide that free content is because you guys will take the time to like, comment, and share. If you take the time to make one of my recipes, take a picture and drop it into the communities like Recipes 101, the Instapot 101 family, and make sure you use the link from my website or any blogger's website that you're taking a photo of, and drop it into those communities and let people know how much you like that recipe. It does wonders. It brings us traffic. It makes our day when we see a spike in traffic and we try to go find out why, who dropped a link, because it makes so much of a difference. All right, you guys, I am thrilled that you guys have spent this time with me. Happy Sunday. Happy New Year. I've got some great recipes and so many more videos coming out this year, and I'm super excited for them. But with that, I am going to call it a night. All right, you guys, remember to be kind, and especially be kind to yourself. So important. Life is hard. Spread some kindness around. I appreciate you guys here, and we'll see you next week. Bye now.